We finally have our first hands-on look at the foldable iPhone Ultra, and based on what we're seeing, Apple may have already done something Samsung completely missed. I've got 4 major updates. Let's get into it. First up, the actual hands-on feel, because this is where things really start to separate. Up until now, the iPhone Ultra and Samsung's wider foldable idea looked almost the same on paper. Similar dimensions, similar overall size, basically the same idea. But the leaked hands-on dummy unit just changed that. The iPhone Ultra is going with rounded corners and curved edges, basically classic iPhone design language. And that sounds small, but it really isn't, because Samsung is doing the exact opposite. The Z Fold 8 Wide sticks to that boxy shape, sharper corners, and flat sides. Now, this is where people are going to disagree. But when you really look at how Apple is rethinking the feel of this phone, this completely changes how the phone actually feels in your hand. That wider 4:3 aspect ratio already improves multitasking and video playback. But the bigger point is this: it feels like 2 different Apple products combined, and because of the rounded design and the button placement, both modes actually feel natural. And honestly, that alone could make this feel like a totally different category. Now here's something I genuinely did not expect. And honestly, this might be one of Apple's strangest decisions. They're adding a dedicated camera control button in their first foldable iPhone. You've seen this before. And let's be honest, the reaction wasn't great. But here's the crazy part: Apple is sacrificing internal space just to keep it. And on a foldable, where every millimeter matters, that's a big trade-off. So the question is, why? Apple thinks foldables are awkward for photography when unfolded. They're big. And adjusting settings on a tablet-sized phone just doesn't feel right. So this button is supposed to fix that. But here's where it gets interesting. Apple might also be fixing the worst part of it. According to the latest leaks, they're removing the capacitive layer and keeping only pressure-sensitive input, which actually makes a huge difference, because that accidental touch issue is one of the top complaints. Now suddenly, the button starts to make a lot more sense. But this is where things start to fall apart, because it sounds like a smart idea at first, until you compare it to what others are doing. While Huawei is adding more cameras, Apple is removing the SIM slot just to keep this button. And that's where the trade-off becomes hard to ignore. So the real question is simple: is this actually worth it? Now, let's talk about what Apple wanted to be the headline feature. Except, they might already be late. Apple clearly wants the iPhone Ultra to be known for a true crease-free display, but Oppo may have already beaten them to it. The Find N6 isn't perfect, but it's closer than anything we've seen so far. Now Apple is expected to use Samsung's OLED panel, the same tech Samsung showcased at CES, and both companies have been pushing the same idea. But it's not happening just like that. The iPhone Ultra crease could come in under 0.15 millimeters. That is extremely thin, but at the same time, Apple is quietly admitting something important: a completely crease-free foldable just isn't realistic right now. And that changes everything. This is no longer a race to be first. It's a race to be the best version of second. That's still impressive, but the headline Apple wanted may already be gone. Now here's the part that completely changes the story, because the iPhone Ultra isn't even out yet. And it might already be winning. Right now, Samsung dominates the foldable market, but projections are showing something massive. Apple could capture nearly half the foldable market in North America in its first year. We're talking about going from 0 to around 46%. At the same time, Samsung could drop below 30%. That is a huge shift. But there's one problem. The phone still hasn't launched, and this is where things get messy. Some reports point to a September launch, while others completely disagree. And both sides are coming from reliable sources. So right now, we don't have a clear answer. We know the design, we understand the strategy, we even know the demand could be huge. But until Apple locks in the timing, there's still one big question left. And meanwhile, the Z Fold 8 Wide is getting one feature the iPhone Ultra might not get at all. But the interesting part, even Samsung fans are divided with this upgrade. Click here to see the full breakdown. This is Techtics, and I'll see you there.